You're watching our very special broadcast, Tunes of Tiranga. I'm Swati Joshi. And on this occasion, the 79th Independence Day, we are joined by a very special guest, Padma Shri Award, three-time Grammy Award winner, music composer Ricky Kej is joining us on the broadcast. Thank you very much for speaking with us. Well, on Independence Day last year, you recreated the national anthem with 14,000 tribal children, and it was a truly soulful rendition. Your new album, Gandhi, Mantras of Compassion, has released just a month before this year's Independence Day. Do tell us more about this tribute and how did it come about?
Definitely, I believe that a tribute to the father of our nation, Mahatma Gandhi, is definitely a tribute to our nation itself. And the album itself, how it came about, Gandhi has been my absolute hero since I was a young child, like most Indians. And in fact, not just for the freedom struggle, but also the way he's uplifted society and taken us into the 20th century. And also, I've been a huge fan of Kailash Satyarthi, the Nobel Peace Prize winner. And I had the opportunity to work with him last year, where we toured across the length and breadth of India with concerts. And during this time, when I was traveling so much with him, we used to discuss Gandhi all the time because he has based his activism on Gandhi's non-violence movement. And that is when we decided that let's make an album on Gandhi, and we ended up assembling over 200 musicians from 40 countries, and that's what became this epic album, Gandhi, Mantras of Compassion.
You know, you composed individual songs dedicated to Mahatma Gandhi, but what inspired you to, this time around, create an entire album centered on him?
You're right, actually, that my previous Grammy-winning albums each had one song on Gandhi. And this particular time, it's a whole album on Gandhi, and there was always this desire to create a whole album about Gandhi. But I guess the catalyst to actually create that whole album on Gandhi came through Mr. Kailash Satyarthi. As I said, through the concert tour, we got to spend so much of time with each other because we were traveling with each other. I also got to visit his Bal Ashram, which is in Jaipur, which is almost like a incubation center where he brings all the children that he's rescued from child slavery and child labor, and he rehabilitates them, educates them, takes care of them. So it was a very inspiring time, spending all of these moments with Mr. Kailash Satyarthi, and that was the catalyst to actually create this whole album on Gandhi, which was always a dream of mine.
Do tell us about your time at the Bal Ashram. What was the experience like, and what were the thoughts that came to your mind?
So spending every moment with Mr. Kailash Satyarthi itself is quite a blessing. He's a very, very inspiring person, rescued over 100,000 children all over the world from child slavery and, and child labor. He's responsible for writing the legislation on child slavery and child labor in so many countries, including the International Labour Organization. So it's amazing spending time with him, learning about all the stories and all the hardships he's gone through, and thus inspiring my own journey of advocacy of the environment and positive social impact, meeting the children that he's actually rescued. So many of the people who actually work at the Bal Ashram are children that he has actually rescued in the past. So it is obviously an extremely inspiring time spending, with Mr. Kailash Satyarthi at his Bal Ashram or anywhere that I get to spend time with him.
You know, since we are talking about your album, which is dedicated to Mahatma Gandhi, let me ask you this question. Given the day and age that we live in, surrounded by conflicts, surrounded by unrest in today's world, in what ways do you believe your songs help promote peace and uphold the Gandhian values?
I think the way that we are living right now in this world, so much of negativity, so much of trolling, hatred, so much of violence, division, we are living in a very divided world, and I believe that Gandhi's values of non-violence, of acceptance, of tolerance, of peace, of environmental consciousness. We've got so many environmental problems like climate change and species extinction, deforestation, air pollution, plastics pollution. I believe that his values are far more relevant today than they ever were. Like, for example, Gandhi has said, during the time when he was living, he said that the earth has got enough for everybody's need, but not everybody's greed. And now that statement is so relevant. And he also said that the moral compass of a society is defined by how it treats its animals. And that is so obvious in today's times. And, everything that he said, every ideal that he's had is becoming more and more relevant with every single passing year. And that's why this album becomes really important, because this album embodies Gandhi's values through the beautiful and the universal language of music, with all of these artists from around the world coming together to have a common message that the only way for us as a species, as humanity, to survive is basically if we coexist not only with all of us human beings, but also with every single living being on this planet.
Right. You spoke about Mahatma Gandhi's message about how we treat our animals. So let me just, quickly bring in one of our current issues that has divided the society. And I'm sure you know about the recent comments by the Supreme Court regarding stray dogs. What are your thoughts on what the Supreme Court has said?
When I was saying that particular statement of Gandhi, I knew you were going to ask me this question. But, I share a beautiful relationship with the so-called stray dogs around my area. In fact, I'm very good friends with them. They're very territorial, but it's a beautiful relationship that I share with them. In fact, I've had 3 indie dogs as my pets in the past. In fact, right now, I've got a dog called Rocky, who is a dog that we've actually rescued from the street. So I believe that, the stray dogs, the indie dogs, are a very important part of our ecosystem as human beings, especially in the large cities. In fact, when my mom comes home late, and she comes home late quite often, I know when she's arriving because I can hear the stray dogs, and the stray dogs not angrily but lovingly bark when she arrives. And also when there is a person who's not supposed to be on our street enters our street, the stray dogs bark in a completely different pitch, and in a different manner, and we all know that somebody who's not supposed to be on our street in the middle of the night is there. So basically, I believe stray dogs are a very important part of our ecosystem, and I have absolute respect for them, and I believe that we need to coexist with them.
Well, this month you've released your song, We Are One Ragupati Raa, which again is a favorite of Mahatma Gandhi, and also released a day before your birthday, if I'm not wrong. Could you share with us what inspired you to choose this particular form of tribute?
Definitely. So, Ragupati Raghava has been a favorite hymn of Mahatma Gandhi, and Mahatma Gandhi has also modified the lyrics a little bit to reflect how inclusive we are as an Indian society. And so this is a song that I've always loved, and it was a huge honor for me to include this particular piece in my own version on the album. The music video itself of this particular song has been filmed over the past 2 years of me traveling to various sacred sites, not only in India but in the rest of the world. But of course the length and breadth of India, lots of Christian churches, lots of Hindu temples, including the Mahakumbh. I spent a lot of time over there filming for the music video, also at the Ajmer Dargah, different mosques. So it was a beautiful experience filming in all of these sacred sites to showcase that the essence of all religions are the same. It's just that our pathway to reach that particular essence sometimes differ between religions. But in this video, I've also showcased that even the pathway sometimes is the same. Sometimes the way that we do our rituals, the musical instruments that we use within these religions to praise God is actually the same. And of course, I launched this video on my birthday as a soft launch, but the actual official launch happened 2 days ago by the Honorable Delhi Chief Minister at the Celebrating India Film Festival.
Like you said, this music album of yours, like the music video you were talking about, is a masterpiece that beautifully portrays the cultural and religious fabric of India. Also features the Kumbh Mela that you visited and spent considerable time there. Considering India's vast cultural and religious heritage, how do you think the country stands out as an ideal model for the rest of the world?
I've always said that India is pretty much the ideal when it comes to diversity, simply because you can put the whole of Europe together, and even that will not be as diverse as India is. You drive about 200, 300 kilometers in any direction, you're going to find a completely new language, a new culinary taste, people who look different, people who speak differently, people who have got different ideologies. It's an amazing country that we live in, and I think music can play a beautiful representation of that. And that's what I've done through this album also, through my versions of the national anthems in the past, use symphony orchestras to showcase how beautiful India is as a country, simply because a symphony orchestra has got different instruments, which are very unlike each other. Like a violin is not like a loud instrument like a timpani, a tuba is not like a harp. All these instruments are completely different from each other. Each instrument is not trying to be the other instrument. Each instrument is maintaining their own unique identity. But yet when all of these instruments play together as a symphony orchestra, they play together beautifully as one in harmony, and it works so well together. And that's what India is. When we speak about oneness, it should never be about everybody being uniform. It should be about everybody having their own identities, having their own philosophies, their own ideologies, but at the same time everybody working together as one unit, and that is Bharat and that is India.
You're absolutely right. You know, all the different music instruments come together and they make music. Similarly, all of us from different backgrounds, cultures, traditions come together, and that's what India represents. But how do you personally connect with the message of unity in diversity?
I believe that the only way for us to grow as a human species and even as individuals is to learn from other people. And that is the reason why for me in my music I thrive on collaboration. Because as soon as you collaborate with somebody who does not play the same kind of music as you, like for example, I will collaborate with an Azerbaijani violin player or an Argentinian charango player or a Vietnamese danbao player. I'm not only collaborating with them with the sound of the instrument, but also it's a culture to culture, it's a heart to heart collaboration where I'm learning from the other individual and the other individual is hopefully learning from me. And it is a beautiful 50-50% collaboration where we are bringing our cultures, our ideologies, our thoughts, our musical knowledge together. So I believe that diversity is extremely important for us to grow, because if we just stay among ourselves and we only have one philosophy and if we only hang around with people of the same philosophy, then how do we grow? And that way India has got a long way to go, and we will grow to be the greatest nation simply because our diversity is our strength.
So in this era of AI and electronic music, how do you see the future and survival prospects of folklore, especially traditional Indian music? Because you are someone who enjoys incorporating traditional or folk elements into your compositions.
So I believe that when it comes to AI, since that is your question, AI is definitely the future of, of the human species when it comes to a lot of things, not just music and not just entertainment. But AI is the future, and the quicker we embrace that future, I think the more we will stay relevant. And that's what I believe. And when it comes to music itself, AI at the end of the day uses past precedents and machine learning to create pieces of music and pieces of art based on prompts that we give it. Now, the musicians who will actually survive are the composers who will actually survive are the ones who are completely ahead of the curve and who are creating pieces of music and styles of music that are absolutely unprecedented, which are very fresh and in ways that has never been done before. So I believe that what AI will do is that it will push all of us musicians and composers to become as creative as possible, so that we will set the trends and we will set the precedents, and AI will follow us after that. And also what will end up happening is that the composers who are creating generic forms of music, like for example generic horror music or generic comedy music for films that actually don't require anything unique, just requires some amount of background music, or corporate films, or or advertising jingles, those are jobs which will be taken over by AI for sure, because they're very simple jobs for AI to take over. And also the clients will prefer that simply because with a human composer it will take them 3 or 4 days to provide an option, whereas with AI it will take probably seconds for them to provide them options of music. So I believe AI is the reality, but we have to embrace it, but at the same time we have to buck up as artists and create amazing art.
Take us back to the moment, what was going on in your mind, in your heart?
So in the past, the awards that I've received, like for example, the 3 Grammy Awards that I've received, or the South African Music Award, or whichever award that I've received, it's always been for a particular project. Whereas when it comes to the Padma Shri Award, it was for a lifetime career. It was for a lifetime of choices. And also, most importantly, it was an award from my own country and given to me by Her Excellency, the President of India. So I believe that was, or rather is, the biggest honor that I've ever received in my life, and I absolutely appreciate it, and I've been extremely grateful for it. Now, the moment that I won the award, of course, it was a very overwhelming, very surreal moment, simply because you have the Honorable Prime Minister of India sitting down over there, you have the Home Minister, you have, of course, Her Excellency, the President, the Vice President at the time, you have all of them sitting in the same room and you going up and walking up and getting the award pinned on you. There is no greater experience than that, that I believe. And, and that's the reason why I took off my shoes, because for me, that was my temple where I received the award. And, it's just a blur in my mind, but I'm very grateful for the award.
So was there a particular decision or turning point in your career that you thought of in that moment when you were receiving the award?
There were plenty of them, because being an artist, one has to carve your own career path, because it's not like being an engineer where you go to 4 years of college and then after that you get campus selected and then you get into a company, you do your MBA, you get into management. Whereas with musicians, we have to constantly make up things as we go along. And even within that musical career, for me, my career has been quite a difficult path, because very early on in my career, I decided that I'm not going to do film music or Bollywood music. I'm only going to create music that I believe in. And of course, but I was still doing some forms of commercial music, like albums and things like that. And I think a huge turning point in my career happened in 2015 when I met Prime Minister Modi. And he inspired me to only focus on the things that I felt strongly about, which he understood was the environment and climate change. And then that started off a new journey of mine, where every single piece of music that comes off my studio, as you can see, I'm sitting down here, or my fingers or my head, is going to be about, making this world a better place in my own small capacity. Then I started widening my reach and widening my thought process, because in order to fix climate change, especially in a country like India, you have to go through many other hurdles like education, fixing poverty, hunger, malnutrition, gender inequality, gender violence, water, sanitation. So I started widening my horizon to include all of these things, because I realized that I needed to have a very holistic point of view towards solving the existential crisis of climate change. So these were all the thoughts that went into my mind, that, these are all the decisions that I made about my career, which were unlike anybody else or any other musician. Because these were things that I just made up on my own, and I decided that this is what I'm going to do with my life. So winning the Padma Shri Award obviously made me feel much stronger about what I was doing, and gave me a lot more energy to continue doing what I'm doing, because it was a validation.
Right. Now, the issue that you raised about climate change, a challenge that the entire world is facing. And recently you performed at a World Bank program that called for clean air and a healthier future. Let me ask you, how do you think musicians can play a meaningful role in influencing policy making when it comes to issues like environment and climate change?
So I believe that for every kind of movement, there needs to be a top-down movement, which is like, from the government downwards, and then which is through policy, legislation, all of that stuff. And the second is a ground-up movement, where people need to be aware of what they can do within their own lives, and how they can take concrete steps within their own lives. Now, I've always believed that, with all the problems that we face on our planet, whether it's environmental problems or social problems, the biggest threat to us, especially in a country like India, is the constant thought that we have that somebody else will make a difference. And we cannot keep waiting for governments, for corporations, for leaders, for politicians to make a difference. Because the truth is that the only way we can bring about meaningful change is if we change our own behaviors. And that's what Gandhi said, and that's what the album also is a lot about be the change that you want to see in this world. So we talk about changing the world, but we very rarely talk about changing ourselves. And everybody is aware of all of these problems that we face at some level, maybe not at an analytical or a scientific level, but everybody is aware of some of these problems. So how do we convert this mere awareness of problems to actually taking concrete steps? And this not only goes for the common person, but also for leaders. Leaders are aware of all the problems, but how do we convert this mere awareness of problems to actually taking concrete steps and action? And I believe music can play that catalyst, because music can actually move people emotionally, and music can touch the hearts and souls of people, and that can inspire change, and that can inspire people to actually take concrete steps rather than just being merely aware of problems, but take that awareness and actually take action on those problems and bring about change. So music, I believe, will play a very, very important role in bringing about change.
So let me also ask you a political question, because recently when Rahul Gandhi endorsed Donald Trump's dead economy remark, you said that was terrible attitude. What prompted you to make that observation, and what do you make of this politics? So I'm no one to say about how anybody is showcasing their life in politics.
But what I can say is that in that moment, I felt that what was being said was wrong, because obviously India is not a dead economy. The whole world wants to do business with us. And of course, like, you know, we are doing business with the rest of the world. So we are definitely not a dead economy. So to endorse Donald Trump's sort of like, you know, on the spur, knee-jerk, statement saying that India is a dead economy, I believe that was not right for anybody in India to endorse it, because it's absolutely not true. So when a statement is not true, if somebody endorses it, then I believe that they need to be called out for it, and that's the reason why I called out Mr. Rahul Gandhi for that statement.
Would you like to give us a glimpse into what's going to happen next, your upcoming projects, any collaborations or tours that you're working on?
So I've spent a lot of time working on the Gandhi Mantras of Compassion album. It's been a lot of work. It's been a labor of love. And as I said, over 200 musicians, 40 countries, lots of traveling. Of course, lots of resources have gone into the album. And the album is completely self-funded. There is no corporation. There is no record label involved. So everything has to be done by us, you know, as in when it comes to promoting the album, ensuring that people listen to it and also imbibe the message while listening to it. So what I've decided right now is that since I worked so hard on the album and put everything into the album, I've decided to take a break and, you know, at least for a year, and not make anything new, and just work on promoting the album, its ideals and its message, so that it has its desired impact as far as possible. And once I realize that it has had its desired impact, or this is the most that I can possibly get people to listen to the album and to understand the ideals, that is when I'll move on to another project.
So what is your message? This is the final question to you. What is your message to the people of India as we celebrate the 79th Independence Day?
So my message to all my fellow Indians is that we should try to understand what is it that we can do for our country, for our environment, for our for nature. What is it that we can do within our own capacities to make a small change? It does not have to be a large change, even if it is within our own tiny capacity. Let's just figure out what is it that we can do without being hard on ourselves. Because I've always believed that with 1.4 billion people in India, if we actually solve India's problems, we are pretty much solving the world's problems, and we're making the world a better place. So I believe that let's focus on India, let's focus on our country becoming the best country in the world, and that way the world will be an amazing place for everybody to live in.
Absolutely. Well, thank you very much for speaking with us, and all the best to you for your upcoming projects.